Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into a story that proves sometimes the perfect life is anything but. Get ready for a tale of forbidden love, devastating betrayal, and the heavy price we pay for our choices. We'll meet Evelyn, a woman who seems to have it all: beauty, a loving family, and a successful business. But beneath the surface, a storm is brewing. A chance encounter with a charming younger man awakens a desire in her that she can't ignore. Will she risk it all for a taste of passion, or stay trapped in a loveless marriage? Get comfy, grab your snacks, and hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss this juicy tale of scandal and heartbreak. Let's get started. Get out of my house. I won't have a cheating wife like you. My son is in high school, and you're out there with some young guy? Get out, just get out. Ryan, please, I'm begging you. Forgive me just this once. I swear it will never happen again. Never happen again? You think you deserve another chance? A woman who betrays her husband like this doesn't belong in this house. Go on, go with him, and don't ever come back. I'm sick of looking at you. Evelyn sobbed uncontrollably on the curb, the midday heat beating down on her as she pleaded for forgiveness. I'm so sorry, Ryan. Please forgive me. It was a moment of weakness, a terrible mistake. I promise I'll make it up to you. Please, think of Liam and let me come home. I know I messed up. Just go. Your words mean nothing to me anymore. I can never trust someone like you again. The sound of their argument, punctuated by smashing objects, echoed through their neighborhood. At first, their neighbors assumed Evelyn was arguing with a customer at her store. But they soon realized it was Ryan's voice, loud and furious. People began to gather as Ryan dumped Evelyn's belongings onto the front lawn. He stood there, pointing at Evelyn and shouting, shocking everyone who witnessed the scene. Speculations spread like wildfire, everyone assuming that Evelyn had been caught having an affair. No one could believe she was capable of such a thing. To them, she was the perfect daughter-in-law, hardworking, dedicated, always taking care of her husband's parents. She had a modern sense of style and a sharp tongue, but nothing that would suggest she was unfaithful. Yet, there it was, the undeniable truth. Evelyn, at 35, was seen as a woman who had it all. Married to Ryan, a loving husband who provided a good life for her and their son, Liam. They were the picture-perfect family. Evelyn herself was beautiful, with charming features and a graceful figure. People often compared her to a movie star, turning heads wherever she went. She came from a well-respected family in town, and after studying abroad, she returned to marry Ryan. Evelyn had always maintained a modern, open-minded outlook on life, the very thing that might have led her to this point. After their marriage, Ryan, wanting to spare Evelyn the hardships of work, decided to open a grocery store for her in a rented space facing the town square. The location was perfect for business, and Evelyn eventually quit her job at the credit union in the city to manage the store. Midway through the year, Jaden, a young salesman who supplied goods to grocery stores, crossed paths with Evelyn. At 27, he was a handsome bachelor from a neighboring village and had been working as a salesman for over 2 years. Seeing the new grocery store in town, Jaden seized the opportunity to introduce his company's products. Little did he know this encounter would change everything. Approaching the store with his usual cheerful confidence, Jaden was stunned by the beauty of the store owner. Evelyn, with her modern, alluring style, sparkling dark eyes, and radiant smile, took his breath away. Her outspoken personality only added to her charm. Jaden was surprised to find such a captivating woman in this small town. He had met countless grocery store owners during his time as a salesman, but none had ever captivated him like this. Noticing the unfamiliar vehicle, Evelyn, recognizing him as a salesman, greeted him warmly. Jaden, usually so smooth-talking, stumbled over his words, his usual eloquence failing him in the presence of this striking woman. Evelyn, aware of the effect she had on men, greeted Jaden with her characteristic enthusiasm, her demeanor a touch flirtatious. "Well, hello there, handsome salesman. What brings you to my store today?" Love at first sight, Jaden thought. Hi there, ma'am," he stammered, flustered. "I didn't know this town had such a beautiful woman like you. You're not from around here, are you?" "I've been here for almost a decade now, but I just opened this store. I actually lived in the city before we moved here." "Ah, that explains it. Well, you're gorgeous. You must sell out of everything with a smile like that. Evelyn laughed at the compliment. I just opened, so I hope so. What are you selling today? Encouraged by her welcoming demeanor, Jaden launched into his usual sales pitch, though he couldn't shake the feeling of awkwardness. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I can't seem to get my words straight. He chuckled nervously. Must be because you're talking to such a beautiful woman, Evelyn teased. Maybe you're right, Jaden laughed. So, are you married? Any kids? Oh, I'm married. Yeah, my husband works out of town most of the time, Evelyn replied with a playful smile. And how about you? You're a charmer. Surely you're spoken for? Not yet, ma'am. My family lives a few miles from here in West Village. I'm still single. Evelyn's interest was piqued. Jaden was handsome in a clean-cut way, and his charming personality left an impression. Several other salesmen had visited that morning, but none had captivated her attention like this young man. Even if you hadn't complimented me, I'd probably still place an order. Evelyn laughed, enjoying their light-hearted banter. They chatted like old friends, exchanging phone numbers for future business and perhaps personal communications. Evelyn's gaze was open and inviting, while Jaden was completely smitten with this beautiful married woman. A MILF after my own heart, he thought to himself. Still young and full of life, Jaden was instantly captivated by her. The lucky guy who gets to go home to her every night, he mused, though he knew it wasn't something to dwell on. After their initial meeting, Evelyn's image lingered in Jaden's mind. Her beauty, her charm, her playful nature, it was intoxicating. All he could think about was seeing her again. From that day on, he found excuses to stop by Evelyn's store, using the pretense of checking on his product sales. Each time he saw Evelyn, she was radiant. Her beauty often left him speechless, staring at her with an almost comical awe. Evelyn would just giggle at his obvious admiration. What are you staring at? Is there something on my face? Sorry, I just can't help myself. You're really something else, Evelyn. Oh, stop it. Flattery will get you everywhere, you know, she teased. I'm serious. I mean, not that I'd try anything, but your husband must be a lucky man. Oh, Ryan, he wouldn't be lucky if it hit him in the face. He's never around, always working. Evelyn knew she was attractive. Unlike other women who dressed modestly for work, she embraced a more form-fitting style. She knew her clothes accentuated her curves, drawing attention from men, but she relished it. She loved to flirt, to feel desired, even if it was just harmless fun. You better watch out, Jaden, she teased, noticing his lingering gaze. At this rate, you'll be needing new glasses from staring too hard. I'll take the risk. As long as I get to look at you, it's worth it. Evelyn thrived on such compliments. Since opening the store, she noticed more and more men stopping by, often lingering longer than necessary. She even suggested to Ryan that they add a beer garden to attract more customers, especially during the hot summer months. He wasn't thrilled with the idea, and Evelyn couldn't help but wonder if he was oblivious or simply didn't care. The truth was, Ryan, though a good provider, was a simple man. He was hardworking, but lacked romance and passion. His job kept him away from home for days, sometimes weeks, and even when he was home, he seemed emotionally distant. Evelyn, starved for affection and intimacy, felt a growing emptiness inside her. She craved attention, warmth, and a connection her husband seemed unable to provide. She reveled in her own attractiveness, perhaps as a way of compensating for the lack of fulfillment in her marriage. No one knew what Evelyn was like when she worked in the city, but since moving back and opening the grocery store, she had changed. She was bolder, more flirtatious, especially with handsome men. The gossiping men and women who frequented the town square took notice, their whispers fueling Jaden's infatuation. He began to fantasize about Evelyn, longing to conquer the beautiful, unavailable woman. He dreamt of holding her, touching her, of being with her in secret. Jaden knew Evelyn often spent her evenings alone, her husband rarely home. Fueled by his growing desire, he decided to take a chance. Hey Evelyn, how's the Ken beer selling? It's the perfect summer drink. I wanted to stop by this afternoon and see your pretty face, but work kept me busy. Well, which is more important, your beer or my pretty face? Evelyn replied playfully. Tough choice. I haven't seen you all day, and it's felt like something's missing. Oh, what's missing? Evelyn asked, playing along. I don't know. Maybe you put me under a spell or something. I can't seem to stay away from your store. Well, if you keep coming around, you're going to turn me into an addict. Evelyn laughed. They continued their playful banter, their messages becoming increasingly suggestive. You know, Evelyn, Jaden wrote, throwing caution to the wind, I think I might have a bit of a crush on you. A crush? You'll be head over heels soon enough, she teased. Better save that thought for someone your own age. You should be out there finding a nice girl and settling down. What if I don't want a girl my own age? What if I have a thing for older women? Oh, so you like them mature, do you? Well, I hate to break it to you, but I'm almost 10 years older than you, and a mother, too. You make me sound ancient. Age is just a number. You look like you could be 18. Besides, who wouldn't be attracted to a woman as beautiful as you? Is that what you tell all the girls? Evelyn replied, heart racing with a mix of excitement and guilt. Don't worry, your secret is safe with me. Your husband doesn't need to know about our little conversations, right? Ryan? Please, he wouldn't notice if I was gone for days. Honestly, it's like I don't even have a husband sometimes. He's so dry, so boring. He couldn't satisfy a goldfish, let alone. She stopped, realizing how far she was going. So you just lie there at night, hugging your pillow, wishing it was me? Jaden teased, emboldened by her admission. You wish? I'd never let you get away with that kind of talk in person. Despite her words, Evelyn found herself drawn to Jaden's boldness. Like him, she craved excitement and passion, things she felt missing in her marriage. Ryan's emotional distance and lack of physical affection had left a void, and Jaden's attention, however inappropriate, filled her with a longing she couldn't ignore. He was becoming the answer to a need she hadn't even allowed herself to acknowledge. The next afternoon, as Jaden approached the store, Evelyn greeted him with a knowing smile and a look of longing. She had dressed to impress, showing off her curves in a way that made Jaden's heart race. Someone's looking beautiful today, he remarked, unable to hide his admiration. Well, I have to put on a show somehow, Evelyn replied with a wink. Besides, you're not so bad yourself. Each time Jaden saw her like this, he was mesmerized. You know, if you keep dressing like that, it's going to be dangerous for all the men in town. Evelyn chuckled. Dangerous? How so? Because you're absolutely stunning. You're going to make us all go blind from staring too much. Oh, stop it. You're going to make me blush, Evelyn laughed. Come on in, you charmer. Let me fix you a lemonade. You can admire the view from inside. Gone was the awkwardness of their first encounters. Their eyes met with a newfound intimacy, their body language speaking volumes. The desire between them, once a flicker, was now an undeniable inferno. Evelyn admitted to herself that she was falling for Jaden's charms. Her mind raced with possibilities, her body aching for a closeness that Ryan could never provide. Jaden, with his youthful energy and undeniable attraction, awakened something deep within her. She craved his touch, dreamt of his kisses. Jaden began to visit Evelyn's store more and more often, using any excuse to be near her. They would spend hours talking, laughing, flirting. Sometimes he stayed until closing time, reluctant to leave her side. Their neighbors took notice of his frequent visits, but no one suspected the truth. Who would dare to think that a happily married woman like Evelyn would have eyes for a young, unmarried man like Jaden? Evelyn, however, had come to depend on these stolen moments. Jaden's presence filled a void she had tried to ignore. Without him, her life felt dull, incomplete, a feeling she couldn't quite explain. That day, Jaden's gaze was as intense as ever, but his words were bolder. Come on, Evelyn, just one hug, he pleaded, his voice husky with desire. It's been 2 weeks, and you're killing me with anticipation. Evelyn, unable to resist his charm, playfully swatted his arm. You're such a flirt. I can't believe you're still waiting around for a hug. You've got guts, I'll give you that. By now, Jaden knew Evelyn was attracted to him. He was just waiting for the right moment to make his move. Glancing around to make sure they were alone, he leaned in and kissed Evelyn's cheek. She gasped, though her eyes sparkled with something more than surprise. Jaden, what are you doing? I'm married. Someone could see. He pulled back, his expression sincere. Evelyn, I can't keep pretending. I really like you. You're beautiful, you're funny, you're amazing. But you're married. I know it's wrong, but I can't stay away from you. Evelyn's heart pounded in her chest. Jaden, this is crazy. We can't do this. We need to stop seeing each other. Even as she said the words, she knew she didn't mean them. Why? Do you regret it? Talking to me? Flirting with me? Do you regret any of it? He looked at her intently, searching for any sign of hesitation. No, Evelyn trailed off, unable to deny the spark she felt whenever Jaden was near. But I'm older than you. I have a son. So what? You think that makes me want you any less? You're incredible, Evelyn. You're everything I've ever wanted. His words, spoken with such raw desire, ignited a fire within her. Evelyn's eyes locked onto his, her own desire reflected back at her. In that moment, she forgot about Ryan, about Liam, about the consequences. All that mattered was the overwhelming need coursing through her veins. Sensing her hesitation, Jaden took a step closer, his hand reaching out to cup her cheek. Evelyn's breath hitched as she leaned into his touch, his warmth radiating through her body. Evelyn, he whispered, his voice a low rumble in the quiet store. Let me hold you, just once. No one has to know. Overcome with desire, she turned away, pretending to rearrange some items on a nearby shelf. Jaden followed, his presence a tangible heat behind her. Before she could protest, his arms wrapped around her, pulling her back against his chest. Jaden, let me go? She protested weakly, her body betraying her words as she leaned back into his embrace. His scent, his warmth, the feel of his strong arms around her, it was intoxicating. Not until you admit you feel it too, he murmured, his lips brushing against her ear. I know you want this, Evelyn, just as much as I do. Evelyn felt a wave of dizziness wash over her. Jaden, this is crazy. What if someone comes in? No one will, he whispered, his voice husky with desire. We're all alone. Just let me hold you for a minute. Please, Evelyn, I need this. She wanted to resist, to push him away and tell him this was wrong. But his touch was electric, his nearness unraveling years of pent-up longing. Let me go, she whispered, her voice lacking conviction. Not until you say you want me to. Evelyn's hand found its way to his chest, her fingers toying with the buttons of his shirt. Her head fell back against his shoulder, a soft sigh escaping her lips. Emboldened by her response, Jaden tightened his hold on her, their bodies molding together. Her skin tingled where he touched her, sending a wave of heat straight to her core. Do you want me, Evelyn? He whispered, his lips brushing against her ear. With a shaky breath, she breathed out a single word. Yes. The admission hung in the air between them, charged with unspoken promises. Without hesitation, Jaden claimed her lips, his kiss urgent, demanding. Evelyn, caught up in the whirlwind of emotions, kissed him back with equal fervor, her response both thrilling and terrifying. It was the most honest answer she could give. Evelyn! Evelyn! Where are you? I need a case of beer. A voice called out, shattering the moment. Reluctantly, they pulled away, their faces flushed, chests heaving. Evelyn couldn't hide the giddy excitement that radiated from her, her cheeks still warm from his kisses. Jaden's touch had awakened something in her, a desire she had long suppressed. Her mind scolded her for the reckless act, for the betrayal of her marriage vows. Yet her body tingled with a pleasure she had never known. The thrill of their forbidden encounter, the stolen kisses and lingering touches, left them both weak with desire. Jaden's hands, no longer content with simple touches, began to explore, seeking more of her. Evelyn, her body responding with a fervor that shocked her, melted against him. It was a feeling she had never experienced with Ryan, a level of passion and intensity she had only dreamed of. Lost in a haze of desire, the rest of the world faded away. It was only them, their bodies pressed together, their breaths mingling in the quiet store. Jaden? I can't, she gasped, torn between the thrill of his touch and the guilt gnawing at her conscience. I know, he murmured against her skin, his voice husky with need. Me neither. We can't do this here. But his hands continued their exploration, stoking the flames of desire higher and higher. Evelyn, he groaned, his voice thick with longing. We need to be alone. Tonight. I need you, Evelyn. I need you so badly. His words, spoken with such raw need, shattered the last of her resistance. I can't. Ryan will be home this weekend. Not if he doesn't know you're gone. Jaden's voice was a persuasive whisper against her skin. Meet me. Tonight. The motel on the edge of town. I'll get a room and you can sneak out after your husband falls asleep. We can be together, Evelyn. Just you and me. Evelyn's head swam with a dangerous mix of excitement and fear. Jaden, I don't know. Please, Evelyn, he begged, his touch sending shivers down her spine. I need you. Tonight, just one night. The desperation in his voice mirrored the longing in her own heart. She had never felt so desired, so alive. With a sigh, she gave in, her resolve crumbling like ashes. Okay, she breathed, her voice barely a whisper. Tonight, but we have to be careful. Jaden's face erupted in a triumphant grin. He leaned in, capturing her lips in a searing kiss. Evelyn, her mind spinning, kissed him back with a passion that shocked even her. Later that evening, Evelyn found herself making excuses to her in-laws, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. I have to run out for a bit, she told her mother-in-law, her voice trembling slightly. A friend of mine from the city needs to see me about something urgent. I'll be back later to tuck Liam in. Mrs. Jones, none the wiser, smiled warmly. Of course, dear. Don't worry about a thing. We'll take good care of Liam. Guilt stabbed at Evelyn's conscience, but she quickly brushed it aside. Her desire for Jaden, the need to feel his touch again, overshadowed everything else. She rushed home, her mind racing. After a hasty dinner and a quick shower, she dressed carefully, choosing a slinky dress that she knew would drive Jaden wild. She left a message for Ryan, her voice shaking as she lied about visiting a friend in the city. Jaden had texted her the motel room number. As she pulled into the parking lot, her heart pounded in her chest. She felt a thrill of excitement mixed with a healthy dose of fear. This was madness. Reckless, dangerous madness. Yet, she couldn't turn back now. She spotted Jaden waiting for her outside the room, his eyes lighting up as he saw her. Evelyn's breath hitched in her throat as she took in his appearance. He looked even more handsome than she remembered, his eyes dark with desire. She shrugged off her jacket, revealing the curve-hugging dress beneath. Jaden's eyes widened appreciatively. Evelyn, he breathed, his voice husky with emotion. You look absolutely beautiful. He pulled her into his arms, and for the first time that night, Evelyn allowed herself to relax, to savor the feel of his strong arms around her, the scent of his cologne filling her senses. I want you, Evelyn, he whispered, his lips brushing against her ear. Tonight, I'm all yours. And with those words, he led her into the motel room, closing the door on the outside world and the life she once knew. Their lips met in a deep, searing kiss, melting away months of pent-up longing. Evelyn, caught in the throes of a desire she had never known, surrendered to the heat that blazed between them. As their passion reached its peak, the world outside the motel room ceased to exist. Jaden was surprised by Evelyn's experience, her responsiveness igniting a fire in him. Wow, you're amazing, he breathed, his admiration evident. He poured all his energy, all his passion into pleasing her, determined to show Evelyn a night she wouldn't forget. Evelyn, free from the constraints of her marriage bed, was boldness personified. She met Jaden's every touch, every kiss, with an intensity that both thrilled and surprised him. They moved together with a natural rhythm, their bodies a perfect match. Jaden, oh God, she gasped, clinging to him as wave after wave of pleasure washed over her. You're incredible, Ryan could never. Don't, he murmured against her skin, silencing her with a kiss. Don't think about him. Tonight is about us. Her name, whispered like a prayer, echoed through the room as they explored every inch of each other. Their bodies moving together in perfect, intoxicating harmony. It was a dance of passion, a release of long-suppressed desires, and for Evelyn, it was the most alive she had felt in years. Stay with me tonight, Jaden pleaded, his voice husky with spent passion. Let me wake up next to you, just once. Evelyn, her body still thrumming with the aftershocks of their lovemaking, hesitated. Guilt tugged at her, but it was a distant echo compared to the pleasure that still throbbed through her veins. I can't, she whispered, reality slowly returning. I told them I was visiting a friend. Ryan will be calling soon, and I have to be home before Liam wakes up. Jaden groaned in protest, but he knew he couldn't ask her to stay. Not tonight. Next time, he breathed, nuzzling her neck. Promise me you'll find a way. I need you, Evelyn, more than you know. I'll try, she promised, her voice breathless. But Jaden? We can't keep doing this. It's too risky. He knew she was right, but the thought of ending their affair was unbearable. I know, he sighed. We'll figure it out. One way or another. They clung to each other for a few more stolen moments before reality intruded, its sharp edges shattering the illusion of their perfect bubble. Evelyn's alarm clock, a jarring reminder of the life she was supposed to be living, jolted them both back to the present. It was almost 10 o'clock. She had to leave now, if she wanted to be home before Ryan called. Evelyn dressed quickly, stealing one last lingering kiss before slipping out of the motel room and into the night. As before, they left separately, maintaining the charade of their affair. The drive home was a blur. Evelyn's mind raced, her thoughts a jumbled mess of guilt, excitement, and a terrifying sense of exhilaration. The first encounter, fueled by a moment of weakness and reckless desire, had set in motion a chain of events she could no longer control. Deep down, Evelyn knew she was on a dangerous path. But the pleasure she found in Jaden's arms, the way he made her feel alive, was an addiction she couldn't shake. She was in too deep, and there was no turning back now. From that night on, their affair became a tangled web of secret rendezvous and stolen moments. Jaden was a regular fixture at Evelyn's store, their eyes meeting across the crowded aisles, their hands brushing as they reached for the same items. They would disappear behind the shelves for quick, desperate kisses, their bodies craving each other's touch. For Evelyn, it was a thrilling, dangerous game. For Jaden, it was an addictive high. Evelyn's life, once carefully structured, began to unravel. She neglected the store, her customers, even Liam. She was distant and irritable with Ryan, her mind always elsewhere. Mrs. Jones, sensing a change in her daughter-in-law, grew suspicious. She noticed Jaden's frequent visits, their easy familiarity setting off alarm bells. She couldn't put her finger on it, but something felt off. Meanwhile, Evelyn, blinded by desire, believed her secret was safe. She continued her affair with reckless abandon, her need for Jaden overriding any sense of caution. Unbeknownst to her, however, whispers of their affair had begun to circulate. Isabella, Ryan's younger sister, who ran a clothing stall in the town square market, had noticed Jaden's frequent visits to Evelyn's store. She had also overheard snippets of gossip, whispers of late-night rendezvous and secret meetings. Isabella, always protective of her brother, decided to keep an eye on her sister-in-law. She confided in Mrs. Jones, who, despite her suspicions, refused to believe the worst about Evelyn. Still, the seed of doubt had been planted. One Friday evening, as Evelyn prepared to leave for another rendezvous with Jaden, she told her in-laws that she had to run an errand for a friend. "I won't be long," she said, her voice a little too bright, her eyes avoiding their gaze. As she drove away, she noticed a familiar car trailing behind her. It was Isabella, her face a mask of determination. Evelyn's heart sank. She had been so caught up in her own desires that she hadn't noticed the shadows gathering around her. Isabella followed Evelyn to the now familiar motel. Her suspicions confirmed when she saw her sister-in-law disappear into a room with Jaden. She immediately called Ryan. It was Ryan's night off, but he hadn't told Evelyn, hoping to surprise her. Now, he found himself racing towards the motel, his heart pounding with a mixture of dread and disbelief. He prayed that Isabella was mistaken, that this was all a terrible misunderstanding. But as he burst through the motel room door, his blood ran cold. There, in the dimly lit room, was his wife, naked in bed with another man. And not just any man. It was the young salesman his mother had warned him about, the one who couldn't seem to stay away from Evelyn's store. Ryan saw red. Consumed by a rage he never knew he possessed, he lunged at Jaden, his fists connecting with the younger man's face. Jaden, caught completely off guard, could only raise his hands in a futile attempt to shield himself from Ryan's fury. Evelyn, her face ashen with fear, watched in horror as her world crumbled around her. Ryan's hand, fueled by betrayal and pain, connected with her cheek, the slap echoing in the stunned silence that followed. The reality of her situation, the consequences of her actions, hit her with the force of a physical blow. She crumpled to the floor, tears streaming down her face, begging for forgiveness. But Ryan, his heart shattered by her betrayal, couldn't bear to look at her. He felt humiliated, his pride shredded by the sight of his wife in another man's arms. To make matters worse, Jaden, the object of her betrayal, was years younger than him. He had been played for a fool, and the realization cut deep. That night, Ryan drove Evelyn back to her parents' house, his anger a lead weight in the pit of his stomach. He told them everything, his voice shaking with rage and heartbreak. Evelyn's parents, devastated and ashamed, could only offer apologies. Their daughter, their precious Evelyn, had thrown her life away for a moment of fleeting pleasure. The next morning, Evelyn returned home, desperate to salvage what was left of her marriage. She fell to her knees, begging for Ryan's forgiveness, promising to change, to be a better wife, a better mother. But the damage was done, the trust irrevocably broken. Ryan, his heart still raw with pain, couldn't bring himself to forgive her. He packed her belongings, throwing her clothes into suitcases, his anger a tangible presence in the room. He didn't want her in his house, didn't want her near their son. She had made her choice, and now she had to live with the consequences. Evelyn, stripped bare of everything she held dear, left the only home she had ever known. Their divorce was swift and brutal, a public spectacle that left her ostracized and humiliated. Liam, caught in the crossfire of their shattered marriage, stayed with Ryan, his innocent eyes reflecting the pain of his parents' betrayal. As for Jaden, he disappeared from town shortly after that night, his promises of love and devotion nothing more than empty words. Evelyn never saw him again. In the end, it was Evelyn who paid the ultimate price for her infidelity. Her family was destroyed, her reputation ruined, her life left in shambles. The weight of her actions, the knowledge that she had thrown away everything for a moment of reckless passion, became a burden she would carry for the rest of her days. It was a harsh lesson learned. Some betrayals can never be forgiven, and the price of infidelity is often higher than anyone can bear. Well, there you have it. A story that reminds us that even the most picture-perfect lives can hide a world of secrets and desires. What did you think of Evelyn's choices? Was she a victim of circumstance, or did she get what she deserved? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And be sure to subscribe to the channel for more captivating tales of love, loss, and everything in between. Until next time, stay intrigued.